annual Garden State Film Festival. This year there will be 200 films from over 14 countries screening the weekend of March 21st to the 24th of this year. I am your host, Emily DeSimone, and I am here with Connor Champley of the short A Day Out, director, writer, and producer. Connor, thank you so much for joining me. Can you give our live viewers a tidbit about your film?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me. A Day Out is a love story, but love has been taken out of the equation. It's a character study about the fear of commitment, about getting into that first big fight and, finding yourself with one foot out the door. And in this character circumstance, going on, a really long walk with his dog in the middle of New York City. None of his friends are answering their phones. He's got nowhere to go, nothing but his own thoughts, and in a real stoic fashion to really ask himself, how did I get in this situation? And, just as you think he hit rock bottom, in a very New York serendipitous fashion, it's the atmosphere, it's the people around him that really bring love back into the picture to make him realize that while he's doing all the finger pointing, while he's blaming everybody else but himself, he really is the cause of his own actions, and he realizes, what he needs to bring to the table to make his relationships work.
That's an awesome message for a film. What inspired you to write it?
I'm not going to call it autobiographical because I might get in trouble from my significant other. No, but I would just say, it's an amalgamation of other people's lives, my own life, and everything that we all relate to. Everybody that worked on the film related to it in some way, shape, or form. And it really is one of those things that you never realize when you get into a long-term relationship, when you ask yourself the question for that first time, like, am I doing the right thing? Like, something that small can really part you in two different ways. And so I think it's really okay. And it's okay to ask that question. And this just kind of shows you how one person deals with it.
So this will be something that a lot of people will be very likely to connect to. And I do feel like that is some of the best work to watch, is when you can definitely pull something from your own life while you're watching something. So I'm actually really excited to see it. So, how did you find the people that worked on this film with you?
So this is our second production. The first one, I was a writer producer on a film in 2020 called Sick Boy. It ended up winning Best Drama of the Year at the Vimeo Festival Awards. And so one of the actresses is in it. The lead is in it. Our DP, producer, etc. And then we brought in a whole other cast and crew of very, very talented, ambitious New York people who just made everything an amazing experience. So
I think those are the best relationships to have. You really can make something beautiful with people that you have a great relationship with.
you got to hold on to them tight. Yeah.
So I would love to know a bit about how you earned the Garden State Film Festival. Congratulations on being accepted. How did you find us?
So the first film, I had written a film called Alzheimer's that was actually featured in the 2020 Garden State Film Festival. And that was just a tremendous experience. And I always promised, when I do my own directorial debut, that I would be coming back, or I would be submitting, and crossing my fingers, hoping for the best. And, it's just I'm incredibly honored to be a part of this. Really, really excited for, the screening and everything. And during, the last film that I just mentioned, that was, right when we released it, it was in the middle of the pandemic. And so things kind of changed. And this, a couple years later, we're finding ourselves here. So I found my way back to it. And just like I promised myself, I'm very grateful that you guys accepted our film.
Well, congratulations on this being your directorial debut.
Thank you.
What does this mean for you to be accepted in the Garden State Film Festival with this being your debut?
I mean, it's a very exciting time to do something like this, like I say, you write to find your voice, and you release what you release your work to understand, who your audience is, but also like who you are. And Garden State, I love New Jersey. I think it's just one of those staples that, you want to be a part of. Having that laurel is something that is incredibly, honored. I'm incredibly honored to have. And so as a, now first time director for this film, it's something that I've been looking forward to. And I mean, I can go on for hours about it, but for right now, I have a big smile on my face, and I'm just incredibly, incredibly happy, incredibly grateful.
Well, we're incredibly happy to have you. I mean, I think that I love this festival. I think that we're so open and welcoming. And this isn't my first year working at. I've worked it a few years, and I love coming back and seeing how the people love to be here, and the attitude, the aura that we have. I think that we really bring something great for you guys, and you obviously bring. We wouldn't be able to do it without you guys as the filmmakers. So, like taking this back a bit to this being your directorial debut, could you tell me a bit about how it's different when you're like producing a work, and how it's been different for you, like with this being your first directive work? Like, how was this process like for you?
Absolutely. And that's a great question. I mean, when you write something, you have a vision, you think, what the story is, what the arc is, and you realize very shortly after that it is a blueprint. You can't do it without the script, but it will be the director's vision. And as a producer as well, it's your job to support that vision and bring it to the screen at any cost. So those were certain aspects that really helped teach me how to bring something to the screen. It really taught me different tastes, different visions, getting the opportunity to work with different directors, certainly helped me understand what my tastes were. And when it came to a story like A Day Out, which was very personal, I felt like it was something that only I could tell. And it felt like a really great jumping off point. And, I was entrusted with, a group of people that I feel like I would do anything for, and vice versa. And so when we went off to the races, it was almost like, it was the 100th time. It just felt really natural. And I was, incredibly excited to just, I want like to get it going, but also, I can't wait to get it, to make it happen again.
So, with this being your debut, what would you say was, your favorite part of the process, and maybe what was, the worst part of the process for you, or your least favorite part of the process?
Sure. It went incredibly, like once the wheel got turning, it moved incredibly fast. We did fundraising through Kickstarter. And I think we were in production within a couple of weeks, and casting is one of my favorite processes of all time, because, I always say like 95% of a director's job is casting, finding the right person for the right role, and let them cook, and kind of don't stand in their way. And that is so much of the job, and seeing what they can bring to the table. Our street preacher, Thaddeus Daniels, he's an amazing actor. And I always like remember through casting, when you go through tapes, when you go through things, everybody is so seamlessly talented, but it's like, who is the right role for this? And it's like if I could cast every one of them, I could. But when I saw Thaddeus, I was just like, he is this role. And when we got him on the street, and, he started doing his thing, and people actually on the street thought that he really was a street preacher. And people were asking, like, how did we capture this guy on camera at the same moment that we were shooting on that street? And it's just like, they were so immersed in character that people thought we were just there capturing documentary style. And that, I think, really transcends and shows through on screen.
And so, the worst part for you then, or I guess your least favorite part?
I mean, it's a love-hate relationship. Shooting in New York City is a challenge in and of itself, but it's such a character in and of itself. Like, it's such a different look and feel than something that you might do on the West Coast. There's an invisible dog in this film, and making something allude to a realistic depiction of the real dog there were challenges there. And also just, shooting on the street, you can work with the city to like get the rights to shoot something, but then all of a sudden an ice cream truck pulls up and totally ruins your shot, or somebody starts a yoga circle right behind you, and you kind of just have to learn how to roll with the punches on it. And a lot of times there's silver linings, and they're, when you think it's the end of the world, it ends up being the best thing that you could have planned for. And then because it happened so fast, once we got into post, that's really when things really started slowing down. And we were able to find the right tone with the composer, finding the tone kind of shifted when we found an editorial style that really actually worked in a way that was unexpected as well. So like you say, it's a love-hate relationship when it comes to stuff like that, because in the moment it might be incredibly stressful or frustrating, but like when you look back on it, with extreme fondness and wouldn't do it any other way.
You're not the first person to say that. I mean, I've been able to see a few of these and talk to some other, directors that have said, this totally random thing happened, but it worked out so perfectly. So I think it's so cool when kind of serendipitous things will find their way into helping you make great art. Well, Connor, thank you so much for joining me. This has been such a pleasure with you today, you guys. You can check out A Day Out at the Cranford Theater on Saturday, March 23rd during the 8:30 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. block. Connor, I do hope to see you at the Garden State Film Festival this year, where there are 200 films screening across 8 venues, including hosting parties, panels, events, and more. Guys, you can get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. I'm your host, Emily DeSimone, and thank you so much for joining us. Connor, have a
Thank
great
you,
rest of
Emily.
your day.
You too.